Today our notes are titled Operations with Square Roots. By the end of today's lesson, you should be able to answer the following essential question. How do I rewrite and simplify expressions involving radicals, square roots? Before we begin our lesson, here are a few things to remember from our previous lesson. When we talked about radicals, we're talking about this type of symbol, where it looks almost like the long division, but it's not to be confused with long division because it has this little ledge. On this ledge sits the index, and underneath the radical you have the radicand, and that is what you're taking the root of. But more particularly for this course, our focus is on the square root. So the square root is a root that has an index of 2, and that index, remember, tells you what to group by. So since the index is 2, we group by 2's when we're simplifying our radical. And then also remember that we normally like to take the square root of perfect squares. So that was one of our ways of simplifying, is by rewriting our radicand using perfect squares. In our lesson today, we will look at 3 different types of operations with square roots. We're going to look at the sum of a square root, the difference of square roots, and the product of square roots. As a review, we need to remember that sum means to add, so we'll have a plus sign in our problem. Difference means you're subtracting, so you'll see a subtraction sign. And product means you're multiplying, so you'll see a multiplication symbol or parentheses. Let's first look at how we're going to be able to take the sum of square roots. In order to add square roots, the radicand, numbers underneath the radical, have to be the same. In our example, the reason why we were able to add 3 square roots 2 and 4 square roots 2 was because they both have the same radicand of 2. So we combined them by adding the coefficients that side out in front of them by taking 4 plus 3, and we got 7. This is very similar to how we're able to add variable expressions. For example, 3x plus 4x and get 7x, because they both have the same variable part. We're able to put them together by adding their coefficients, 3 plus 4, and getting 7. Subtracting radical expressions is similar to adding radical expressions. We also must have the radicands to be the same. So in our example, we see we have 30 square root 5 minus 4 square root 5. The reason why we're able to combine these two is because they both have the same radicand of 5. So we combine them by subtracting the coefficients, 30 minus 4, and you get 26. Again, this is similar to how we handled variable expressions. We were able to combine them over subtraction whenever the variable parts were the same. So if we had 30x minus 4x, we all know that you can put those two together by taking 30 minus 4 and getting 26. So basically, when you're adding or subtracting radical expressions, you can think of the prior knowledge that you've gotten by adding and subtracting variable expressions, where you're able to combine the coefficients as long as either the variable part or the radical part are the same. When we are multiplying, finding the product of square roots, it doesn't matter whether the radicands are the same. We're just going to multiply the radicands with the radicand and the outside values with the other outside values. So we're putting them together and doing multiplication over the numbers that are on the outside and then the numbers that are on the inside. So 2 times 6, you get 12. 3 times 7, you get 21. I am still able to relate it to variable expressions, because if I had a variable expression that told me to take 2x times 6y, how would I be able to do it? It doesn't matter that the variables are not the same. I would still be able to put them together by taking the numbers that are in front of the variables and multiplying them to get 12, and then just combining the variables together to get xy. So that is very similar to how we treat multiplication when we're dealing with radicals. Below is a Venn diagram that we can use to visualize the comparison and the difference between variable expressions and radical expressions. And in the middle where they share that section, we can see that if I were to simplify either a variable or a radical expression, I would be doing the same exact thing. So basically, the two Venn diagrams are telling us visually that radical expressions are similar to variable expressions. You simplify them the same when you add, subtract, and or multiply. The only difference is that radical expressions includes radicals. Now that we've reviewed some vocabulary and then used some prior knowledge to make a connection between what we already know and the new content, let's look at how we can follow the steps to adding and subtracting square roots and or multiplying square roots. It is a three-step process in order to add or subtract square roots. The first step is to simplify the radicands if possible. The second step is to then you're able to add or subtract numbers on the outside of the radical to combine them together. And then the final step to remember is to make sure that you're keeping your radicand the same. So when you add or subtract, the radicand does not change. It stays the same. Multiplying square roots is also a three-step process as well. The first step is you would multiply the numbers on the outside of the radical together. Second step is to multiply the radicands together. And the third step is to simplify the radicand if possible. Now that we have reviewed the steps on what we would have to do in order to add or subtract radical expressions, let's look at an example that is asking us to add or subtract two radical expressions. So if we look at the first example, part 1 of example 1, we notice that we have two radicals that are joined together by the addition sign. So they want us to take the sum of those. And then for this one, we have three different radicals. Two of them are joined by subtraction, and then the other two are joined by addition. But there's something else to notice about each of these. Well, if we go back to our steps, it says that we're only able to add or subtract radical expressions if the radicands are the same. And the way that each of these radicands are written right now, none of them are the same. So we're not able to directly go straight to combining them until we're able to either write them the same or maybe they're not able to be simplified. So let's just see. Let's follow our steps. The first question you should ask yourself is, can the radicands be simplified? Well, how can we determine whether the radicands can be simplified? Well, I'm going back to our notes before where we had those two methods of simplifying square roots. And I know I like to use the perfect square method because that's the easiest and quickest, the best method to use. So what we can do is go to each of our radicands and see if we're able to divide the radicand by any one of the perfect squares. If we're able to divide our radicand by any one of the perfect squares other than 1, of course. So any of the other perfect squares other than 1, we know that we are able to simplify. If we can only divide the radicand by the 1 and there's no other number in the list that we can use to divide that number by, then we know that it cannot be simplified. So for example, 2 can only be divided by 1. So therefore, this radicand, square root 2, cannot be simplified. 18, on the other hand, we can divide 18 by 9. 9 is the largest perfect square that we can take 18 and divide by. So that tells me I can actually rewrite 18 using this 9 perfect square. So that means I'm able to do some simplification on this. So we're able to simplify 3 square root 18, but we're not able to simplify square root 2. So let's start off by showing the simplification for this radicand 3 square root 18. And so we go backwards in our perfect square list and we find the largest perfect square that we can take and divide 18 by, and we just said earlier that it is 9. So that means I can use this perfect square 9 to rewrite the radicand 18. And when I divide 18 by 9, I get the imperfect square of 2. So once I find the perfect square, I remember from my last set of notes that I should be able to now take the square root of the perfect square by asking myself, what number times itself gives you 9? Well, the answer to that is 3. And then my imperfect square is going to remain underneath the radical symbol. So I'm going to have 3 square root 2. But I cannot forget that there was already a number on the outside of the radical, so I need to bring that number down. So then my final answer is taking 3 times 3 and multiplying it together, and I get 9. And then the square root of 2 still stays underneath the radical. So 3 square root 18 can be simplified by putting 9 square root 2. So the next question to ask ourselves is, now that we're able to rewrite 3 square root 18 as 9 square root 2, are we able to add and subtract our original problem? So what I would have to do is rewrite my expression by replacing 3 square root 18 with 9 square root 2. So remembering the rule for adding radicals, you can only add or subtract them if the radicands are the same. And now that I've rewritten 3 square root 18 using the 9 square root 2, I notice that they are now the same. So to answer this question, I would say yes, I am able to simplify by adding. So since the radicands are the same, we can add them now by taking the numbers on the outside and adding them. So 14 plus 9, we get our answer 23 square root 2. On the next example of part 1, when they're asking us, can the radicands be simplified? Yes, they can. 2 of them can. 125, if you go backwards in your perfect square list, the largest perfect square you can divide 125 by is 25. So that means you can simplify that by rewriting it using the perfect square 25. 80, the largest perfect square you can divide it by is 16. So that means you're able to rewrite the radicand 80 using the perfect square 16. But if we tried 14, there's no number in our perfect square list other than 1 that we can use to divide 14 by. So 2 square root 14 cannot be simplified, but the other 2 radicands can. So if we rewrite 125 using the square root of 25, we have 25, and then 125 divided by 25 is 5, so our imperfect square is 5. If we take the square root of our perfect square, we get 5. So our simplification of the square root of 125 is 5 square root 5. But we can't forget that there was a number already on the outside, so bringing down the 6 and multiplying it with the 5, we're going to be able to rewrite 6 square root 125 as 30 square root 5. So let's do the same thing for 7 square root 80. The largest perfect square we said that you're able to divide 80 by is 16, and you get the imperfect square of 5. So now if we take the square root of our perfect square, we get 4 square root 5. And we can't forget that there was already a number in front of the square root, so we have to take it and multiply it by the 4. And so 7 square root 80 can be rewritten as 28 square root 5. So now when I rewrite my radical expression, I notice that now there are 2 that have the same radicand, so I am able to add or subtract them together. But this third one does not have the same radicand as the other 2, so I will not be able to add this one with the other 2. So for my answer, when I take 30 minus 28, I get 2. So I get 2 square root 5, and then I just bring down the one that I wasn't able to combine. So I have 2 square root 5 plus 2 square root 14 is my answer. So now let's look at an example of simplifying radical expressions by multiplying. So remember, it's different from adding and subtracting because we're really not concerned with whether or not the radicand are the same. We're just going to combine the numbers that are on the outside by multiplying and combine the numbers that are on the inside by multiplying. So whether or not it is the same, we're still able to combine them when we're multiplying them. So since multiplication may seem very simple, let's see if we can do both of these examples together. So the first thing you're asking yourself, what numbers are on the outside? So what numbers are on the outside of the radical for both of these expressions? So for the first expression, we can clearly see that the numbers on the outside are 4 and 12. And for the second expression, we can see that the numbers on the outside are 15 and 2. Since our operation is multiplication, our next step is to multiply them together. 4 times 12 is 48, and 15 times 2 is 30. Now let's identify the radicands. For the first example, we have our radicands 10 and 18 because they're the numbers that are underneath the square root. And for our second example, we have the radicands 3 and 6 because those are the numbers that are underneath the square root. So again, since our operation is multiplication, we're going to take those radicands and multiply them together. 10 times 18, you get 180. 3 times 6, you get 18. Our next question to ask ourselves is whether or not we're able to simplify the radicand. So looking at our perfect square list, how are we able to tell whether or not we're able to simplify? Well, if there's any number in our perfect square list that we can take our radicand and divide it by other than 1, then that means that we're able to simplify the radicand. So 180, there is a number in our list that we can take 180 and divide by. 18, there's also a perfect square that we can divide 18 by. So for both of these, we can actually simplify them. So our answer to that question would be yes. For the square root of 180, the largest perfect square that I'm able to divide 180 by is 36, and I get the imperfect square of 5. And for 18, the largest perfect square that I'm able to divide 18 by is 9, and I get the imperfect square of 2. So the square root of 180 can be rewritten as 6 square root 5, and the square root of 18 can be rewritten as 3 square root 2, but we can't forget about the numbers that are on the outside. So when we take that number on the outside and multiply it by the number we pulled out from our perfect square, 48 times 6, you get 288. And for our next problem, we had 30 on the outside times the perfect square that we pulled out, 3. 30 times 3, you get 90. So our answer to our first part on example 2 is 288 square root 5, and then the answer to our second part of example 2 is 90 square root 2. To show that you mastered today's lesson, complete the daily practice problems 1, 2, 3, and 4.